Good evening, everyone. Hopefully, you've been having a pleasant week. Happy Friday, by the way, and we've got another episode of the BS in the Beer. I do have a few concerns for this episode, and depending on what happens in the next minute or so, we'll actually let you know what thumbnail you're going to see. Because as it slides into view, we're going international again. This is a Swiss beer from BFM, which I cannot recall exactly what BFM stands for. Maybe we can find it. I cannot, but this is the Cuvée du, I guess, Etem. It is a 7.5%, what is it, a Belgian strong pale ale. They call it an amber ale, brewed with cocoa powder. It is from 2007. Now, the reason why I am voicing my concern about this 18-year-old beer is this right here. This is the old flip top. They're great, very good, very reusable, but the problem is if it's not sealed properly when it first went in, it could lead to a myriad of problems over the course of 18 years. But we have our dimpled mug, which is the preferred, one of the preferred styles of glassware for the Belgian strong pale ale, and let's see how this goes. Fingers crossed. Well, that's... Oh, there it is. There we go. Was a little stuck. Yep, nope, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Nope, that is a straight... Yeah, that's just a straight vinegar smell. No, that is unfortunate. That did not last, unfortunately. Yeah, again, but these are the concerns with some of the things that happen, and oh yeah, that's just like sweet, sharp, sweet and sour vinegar, awful. No, and it's not supposed to smell like that. It's one of those that absolutely is not. So unfortunately, the previous thumbnail will have to be scrapped, and we are going to have to institute backup plan number 1. So give me a moment, and I'll be right back with it. Okay, and we are back, and this is why you always have a backup plan at hand. And I know what you're thinking, Barry especially. Why didn't you drink it? Well, because I've done that before. I've had the rancid beer before. Believe me, you don't want to deal with it. It's not a pleasant night or two. So we are going to move off of that, and that is unfortunate, but like I say, that is why I always have the backup plan involved, and now we slide into effect, and I do know for a fact this one takes age, mainly because I've had it age before and of the alcohol content. This is from Dogfish Head Brewery in Milton, Delaware. This is the Dogfish Head 120-minute IPA. An Imperial IPA, this one, and they changed it a little while, and it does say age as well right there. Let's see if we can find what we are looking for. They usually inkjet a birth date, yes. Bottled on, as you can see there, there you go, 7/22/15, so July 22nd, excuse me, 2015, so we're back to 10 years old, and this is a big one. This one in 2015, it clocked in at 18%. You can hear the carbonation. 18% is big. They also did another really big series, or two of them, the Worldwide Stout and another one, the Raison d'Extra. See, that smells proper. That smells proper. And they talk about, when they're talking about this stuff, I know they love to throw in their brewery jargon for people that don't know what it is, but I actually decoded it for you. They talk about this. This is brewed to a colossal 45 degrees Plato. Well, what is degrees Plato, and why should anybody care? Well, one, you really shouldn't care. But what it is a specific measurement of the sugar concentration in the wort. And the wort is the mash, essentially, which is the liquid extracted from malted barley during brewing. And then that is later, yeast is added to brew into alcohol. And basically, the higher the degrees Plato, the more sugar concentration it has. And because of the way yeast works, More sugar means higher potential for alcohol. So like champagne yeast is a specific breed of yeast because it's able to take a lot of very high alcohol percentages. But I'm going to shut up now. We're going to do this. We've got our Dogfish Head 120 Minute IPA. This is an 18% or so. This will not be finished on camera, but God, it smells so nice, and we'll get to that in a minute. So 1 second, I'm going to flip her over, and we'll go from there. Hello, everyone. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but like I say, sometimes it happens. Sometimes. And if anybody has ever tried to age a wine, it's the exact same thing. No matter how many precautions you take, no matter how careful you are, sometimes it just doesn't matter. Sometimes, unfortunately, time is just going to win. But we did, and again, this is why. There are some things I know that I have for a fact will work. So if we ever need a backup, I will always have something planned because there's a little bit of research and work that goes into this. But here it is, and look at the color. It is a beautiful, beautiful copper. Can't really see through it. No, not much carbonation. That's okay. It's 10 years old. On the smell, normally this one is just blast you in the face with like green hops, green everything. But this is calmed down. This is a lot more malt, a lot more grapefruit. And that's the thing. You can actually get, depending on the hops that you use, you can get distinctive differences based on the hops of the different citrus fruits. It's very interesting and it's very weird, but it is very true. So we're going to take a sip and we're going to get into what I talked about, or what I teased last week, a professional football franchise, one of the co-founding members of the NFL that you've probably never heard of, and if you have, why have you? But we will do cheers to everybody out there. If anybody's having one along with me, I know Cash and Dad started doing brewski and a rip, so welcome to the club, brother. We'll have to try to plan something one day for a live stream. Now, I have to remember to go slow because it is 18%. And that is a lot. The first time I ever had this fresh, it was what I would call hot. Like the alcohol, the ethanol was so prevalent. It was like, when you get like a really potent whiskey or a potent moonshine, it just blows the head off you. Just from the smell, that's exactly what it was. But this has calmed down a lot. This is a lot more mellow. It's sweet. Sweet at the start. Weirdly, there's that grapefruit. A little bit of raisin. And then teeny bit of bitterness, but I don't know if that's hop bitterness or toasted malt. I think it might be the hops. And then at the end, there's just that little alcohol warmth to let you know, hey, you're drinking something, by the way. So, let's get into it, shall we? There's the logo right there. Anybody recognize said logo? Anybody? No? Well, it was a team that was around from 1898 to 1925. And they were a founding member of the NFL, which was founded in 1920. That logo belonged to a team from very close by to where I am now, the Rochester Jeffersons, the long defunct, 100 years defunct this year, by the way. That's right, the Rochester Jeffersons were one of the founding members of the original NFL, and that's the crazy part. And I will put up statistics at one point, but it only goes back as far as 1916 because basically they came into existence in 1898, and essentially what they did from there was play other semi-pro teams in New York, in the western and upstate New York area. So like, they would play teams in Buffalo, they would play teams in Syracuse, they would play teams in Jamestown, etc., etc. And then comes the year 1908, in which a young man at the age of 16 by the name of Leo Lyons joins the Rochester Jeffersons as a player. And again, this is over 100 years, so 16-year-old kid playing semi-pro, almost professional football at this time. Not that crazy. 2 years later, he was not only a player, but he was also the coach and part owner. So this is 1910. And let's see, one of his biggest things, and this is how he really promoted it. Sometimes you really have to promote some of these things. This is the year after they won the New York Pro Football League championship. And that was the league they were in up until the NFL, as far back as the actual official leagues go, in 1908 to 1919. And then the following year, in 1920, they moved to the NFL with the rest of them. But in 1916, the Rochester Jeffersons won the New York Pro Football League, the NYPFL championship. So they're already, feeling it. But at the same time, it's a small Western New York league playing, trying to get traction against massive teams, very, very heavily team, like the Portsmouth Spartans. They'd been around forever. So what Leo Lyons did, right, and very smartly so, he put out a public challenge to the best and biggest and most well-known professional football team of the time. It was a team by the name of the Canton Bulldogs. That guy. Anybody recognize that guy? You should. That's Jim Thorpe. Yeah, that's who he challenged. So the Rochester Jeffersons, they had to, I think they actually played it in Canton in the year 1917, so the year following their championship win. Rochester got shellacked, 41-0. I mean, you had to expect it. You had to expect it. It's Jim Thorpe, for God's sake. He was one of the greatest athletes, not just greatest football players, one of the greatest athletes of the 20th century, hands down. But it was just the fact that Leo Lyons had the fortitude to call out the biggest team in pro football, go to them, and go down swinging. So all of a sudden, after he goes down to the Canton Bulldogs in 1941, it was 1917, all of a sudden the Rochester Jeffersons are on a lot of people's radar. So then comes, they finish off, and you can see, I'll put the record chart up there, but unfortunately the tale does not end well for the Rochester Jeffersons. We'll do a little pause for the cause because this is really good, and and like I said last week, as it warms up, as it warms up, it changes because more flavors open up the warmer it gets. The colder it is, the more muted it is. So it's always going to change the more you sip it and drink it. And that's why a lot of stemware, you're supposed to hold it from down there so as not to warm up the drink, for it changes the properties of said drink. God, I get philosophical. It's weird. Oh, that was nice. That was just nice. It's almost like bordering on, if it had a little more sweetness, it could almost be bordering on, and I think more Canadians will probably know this term than Americans, but on an ice wine. It's kind of got that same kind of burn that a really good ice wine has. If you know what ice wine is, it's basically how the principle behind making ice beer is they make a beer and then freeze it to remove some of the water but condense the alcohol, which is why you can take a beer like, Keystone, which I think normally is 4%. And then you make Keystone Ice, which is 5.9, 6%. Same beer, just frozen to remove some of the water but condense the alcohol. They do the same principle with wine and cider. And ice ciders are quite delicious. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. So the Rochester Jeffersons are soundly defeated by the Canton Bulldogs in 1917. And then comes the meeting, in 1920 at the Hupmobile showroom in Canton, Ohio, which is why the Pro Football Hall of Fame is in Canton, Ohio, because that's where this meeting happened between representatives from various different teams, and Leo Lyons was invited to this meeting to represent the Rochester Jeffersons. And as such, The NFL was founded at this meeting in 1920, and with the founding of the NFL came the Rochester Jeffersons, of all teams in the world, of all cities in the world, but Rochester, New York, the Rochester Jeffersons are now a founding member of the National Football League, which 105 years later, which it is now, is arguably the most popular and most profitable and most valuable sports league on the planet. The majority of the most valuable sports franchises in the world, mind you, are NFL teams, with the Dallas Cowboys being the most valuable sports franchise in the world by a good amount. So anyway, the Rochester Jeffersons joined the NFL in 1920. And unfortunately, it just does not go well. And as you can see from the chart, the last 4 years of the Jeffersons' life in the NFL were winless. It was just very, very unfortunate. But Leo Lyons stuck with them the entire time, and at the end of it, the franchise actually didn't expire immediately. Let's see, when did the franchise expire? The franchise, the last season they played was 1925, and they just lay dormant. I think 1928, the franchise just was not renewed, and the legend of the Rochester Jeffersons ended as interestingly as it began, almost kind of in obscurity. So, but that is one of the founding members of the NFL, and a very local team. They were called the Jeffersons because where they practiced was on Jefferson Road, which is the road not far from me, the main road. Oh yeah, here you go. I did write it down actually. 1926 and 1927, they were dormant. The franchise expired in 1928. Leo Lyons, however, because of his service to football for a very long time, was essentially the official unofficial historian of the NFL following the folding of the Jeffersons in 1925 up until his death in 1976. And the one thing people always said about his way of keeping records, his historical record keeping, was yes, maybe in a lot of cases, well, actually not maybe, in a lot of cases, it was heavily, heavily, heavily favored toward Rochester and the Jeffersons. It is what it is. That's why, have you ever broken down the word history? His story. But people have said, and I think even was Ed Sable of NFL Films, he said that despite that, was a very, very, very good and very accurate historian. So the NFL owes quite a lot to Leo Lyons, and I weirdly think the majority of people, now that I've told you guys this, the people that are watching this, now you probably know something that the overwhelming majority of people that live in the city of Rochester I probably either don't know, and more to the point, have never heard of. And I think stuff like that is interesting. Oh, also, they did have one notable player of note, right there. There's the picture of him right there. His name was Elmer Oliphant. I think one of his nicknames was Catchy. He did play for the Rochester Jeffersons and was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1955. And I think anytime you get inducted into a Hall of Fame, you have done your job, and you have done your job well. So that is one of the more proud alumni of the Rochester Jeffersons. And I think it's just quite fascinating. And I am curious, what were the Jeffs... Because I know it says for the first decade they were just playing other semi-pro teams in upstate, but I wonder if from 1898 to 1907, if any of those records were actually kept. That would be something I would be curious about. I may actually venture down to the Hall of Records and see if they have anything. I'm gonna have one more little slug, and then I'm gonna tease you for tomorrow, and then I'm gonna leave you with a weird thought. So bear with me 1 second. That's nice. At this point, because it's warmed up over the past 15 minutes or so, and with me holding it, it's gotten a lot sweeter. A lot more dark fruits have come out. Like a lot of plum. That raisin is just there. And that's the thing. Dogfish Head has always had that. Maybe it's the malts they use, but they always have that. When their beers age, they kind of get a little raisiny. Not complaining, just remarking. But tomorrow, I hope you enjoyed that, because that was a fun little history. And that's something I'd had on the list of things that I wanted to talk about for a little while now. And the thing is, like, unless I wanted to make it like some big high-powered video, which I don't think I have the capability to do at the present time, there was just no place for it. It wasn't that long a story. I covered it in about 15 minutes, in addition to BSing about some beer. Yay, worked it in. I'm good at this stuff. But it was just one of those things, and I have a list of those things, of just random things to talk about for 15 or so minutes while I'm having a beer with you guys. I hope you enjoy it. I'm really enjoying it. I think you guys are as well. And we'll see. I know Cash and Dad, like I said, Cash and Dad have started doing their thing, and excuse me. Who knows? Like I say, that could morph into maybe some weekend having us a little beer and shoot the breeze live stream. You never know. But I'll tell you this for free. I will not be bringing an 18% beer. But the good thing is, I do have another one set aside just in case, because the one for tomorrow, I'm also slightly curious about. It is capped. However, it is a style of beer that doesn't truly lend itself that often to being aged, and that is a fruit beer. Plus the fact that it's from 2014 and it's only 6.5%. I don't know. We could be running the risk, and we could be digging into the second of the backup beers, but we will see. But also tomorrow, Saturday, it's going to be a fun one, because I'm going to dig into one of the more interesting food debates that have been running around for a long time. I'm not going to tell you which one, because there are several, but this one I think we're gonna take a little stab at, and we'll roll with it and see what we can do. So yeah. But other than that, this was a nice Friday evening BS and beer session. Probably be heading over to Aaron's Sports Cards and Things. Aloha Friday will be happening very soon, so make sure to go check that out. That's always fun. And so I'd like to leave you with this. I'm going to take one more sip, and actually that's probably about it. But, it is what it is, because it's fun. It's fun doing this with you guys, and it truly is. And I will finish that at Aloha Friday. Because I posed you the interesting thought last week. I actually can't remember what it was, because it was a week ago. But I posed this interesting thought to you to ponder this evening. Does a straw have one hole or two? Have a good night, everybody.